Going on, guys? Welcome, Rabbit here, and some exciting times as today we're going to be setting up and showcasing the Goldshell AL Box 2 Plus. So let's unbox this thing YouTube magic style. So in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So here we have it is the newest style that they have. That's pretty black. It's just absorbing my light, so it's kind of hard to see. But coming in, we can see it is their new style with the power supply built into it. So all you need is a C13 plug to whatever your wall outlet is. This is 600 watts, so it should work on 120 volt. I'm going to plug it into 240 volt to check it out. We have an Ethernet cable here for your internet. It also has Wi-Fi support. So I'm probably going to utilize Wi-Fi, but you are going to have to hook it up to your internet here with the hardline cable first, and then put in your Wi-Fi parameters. So I'll show you how to do that when we do set this up. But yeah, here we go. So this is your off. Line here is on. It's not plugged in, so you know that part don't matter. It did come with a C13 plug for the C14 right here. Male end is always the higher even number, but it is a European plug, so it's not going to work for me, but that's okay because I always have lots of extra cables and plugs around, so that's no issue for me. But if you are ordering these, make sure you do get the proper cables for your miners. Now looking at the top here, this is rated for both, as mentioned, 110 to 240 volt. It is 10 amp, 50 to 60 hertz, the AL Box 2 Plus. Now we will compare this later on to other miners for Alephium, but as we know with Kaspa and all the other miners Goldshell has been releasing, they have been getting a lot of bad PR because all their miners are the worst in efficiency and they're the most expensive. Now with this one's actually coming in as one of the cheapest per hash rate that you get, making it one of the fastest ROI in miners. Now the efficiency is still less. We'll go through all the numbers later on in this video, but the fact that they're actually the cheapest per gigahash makes this one of the better options for getting into Alephium very early before that hash rate does get way too high. All right, so as we can see, I do have my power cable plugged in. We got our internet cable plugged in right there. Antenna is installed. All we got to do is turn it on. That's simple by hitting the switch right there. Powered up, fans are spinning. Let's jump into the dashboard and see what we got. All right, guys, so here we are inside of our dashboard. It is all in Chinese, so we're just gonna have to come up to the little flag here and put that in English. So there we go. Now we gotta unlock this miner or we will not be able to change any type of settings. So we're gonna go to unlock here. Default username is admin. It's grayed out by default. Password, it's expected you should change this, but it is 1 through 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for the initial. Unlock that and get rid of all this stuff. Okay, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 close out, don't care. Coming into the miner, this is where we're going to put in our pool parameters. It's defaulted to DX pool, so I'm just going to remove that because I don't want it here. And I'm probably going to set this up to Viper. So coming into viper.net, I want to click on PPLNS just to make sure I am pool mining here. We're going to start mining here, and then we're going to click here. It's nice that Viper has your stratum pings, you know, what your latency is to every single stratum they have based on you. And if anywhere you live in the world, you're pretty much guaranteed a low latency. So that's awesome. So we're going to come into here. We don't need the stratum plus TCP for the Goldshell miner. So we only need to copy this one right here with our port number of 5050. Come back into our miner here, and I'm just going to get rid of this because I already pre-started it. So we're just going to click and add a new pool, and up top we're just going to right click and we're going to copy this. It looks like Viper's actually here by default, so I want to erase this and actually click on it and see what it takes us. So that's a different one. We don't want that one. That's USSE. It'd be nice if Goldshell would build it in with all the stratums so you can pick the one for you. Anyway, regardless, we're at US West for Viper.net on port 5050. Now for my miner name, this is where you put your wallet address and your worker ID. So I have a brand new wallet so I can track this one to ROI. So we're going to click on Alephium extension wallet here. I'm going to open it up, copy my address here, and now I'm simply going to paste that in right here, put a period, and this is going to be the AL Box 2 Plus, like so. Password, I don't think we need anything. I'm going to put an X just because, and then I'm going to apply those settings. So once this turns green, then it should say we are up and mining. Now, if you want to add backups, you can add 2 more pools in there or 2 more Viper stratums or whatever you do want to do. Now, looking into some other settings, you do have a power plan of hash rate mode or idle mode. Obviously, all this is for is, in hash rate mode, that means you're mining. Idle mode just kicks it out there, and then you can just go and safely power off your miner. It's nice that this actually has a switch, so you could just do it in the middle of mining. That's not recommended, but, it's still an option there because you don't have to unplug it. With Bitmains and other ASICs that don't have a power switch, you actually unplug them. So you do go into sleep mode, which they call it, and then once it drops its power, you notice it hit that at the wall, and power consumption drops, then you can unplug it safely and not get shocked. As for the Wi-Fi, it looks like it's on by default, so you can see all the networks around in your area. It's a pretty simple process. Simply click on your Wi-Fi and then fill out your password and everything, and you'll be up and running. Then you can unplug your Ethernet cable and be all good to go. So I'm going to set mine up right quick because I want to try running this off Wi-Fi. Now, depending on your router and your network, once you do set up Wi-Fi, which I just did, and then I unplugged the actual hardline Ethernet cable here, you will lose your dashboard. So I went into my router, and you can see now, this is now on Wi-Fi. So I have to go with this new IP of 192.168.1.127. Obviously, this is going to be different from you. This is your local IP4 address on your network. So you're going to have to put in that new IP, and then your Goldshell miner will pop up again, and we can see we're hashing away. Wi-Fi seems to be working perfectly. And coming into the pool, we are detected pretty fast. You can see currently we're at 1.32 terahash. 1 hour average is 1.4. We just fired up, so obviously these things are going to change. So we're going to have to wait for at least 24 hours to see how well this is hashing. But we are detected at the pool, and everything is mining away as it should. All right, so to have a look at our power consumption, we were at 4,273 watts. Now we're using 4,700 and about 35 watts, 38 watts there. So you subtract that, that is about 462 to 470 watts. So quite a bit less than the 600 I thought it was. So I'm actually going to plug this into 120 volt, and then we can put a watt meter on it and see what it's running there. All right, so I did hook this up to 120 volt, and we're around 488 to 89 watts. So it does work on both 120 as well as 240 volt, and it is using about 488 watts here. Now I'm also going to put a fan on it to see if that will drop our hash rate or if running cooler will matter on these things. So let's have a look here right quick. All right, so it looks like I accidentally deleted that footage, but it did drop the power down to about 477 watts at the wall running cooler, and it didn't change the hash rate or anything. So it does look better to put a fan on. It keeps that thing cooler. Hash rate maintains the same, and the power does drop at the wall. All right, so now let's take a look at the price of this. When I got it, it was $16.99, and then a few days later, it went back up to $17.99 for some god knows who knows reason. This is Goldshell doing Goldshell things, but it does look like now it is down to $1,600. It's coming into Goldshell's site here. We see $1,600. So it is down to $1.60 per gigahash here. It is still one of the worst efficient miners compared to everything else that is out there, but that pretty much does tie it with the Dragon Ball A40 in terms of only Alephium mining here, as we can see here, $1.60. But recently, Ice River just announced the AL3, and over at Crypto Miner Bros, code RABBIT will grant you $70 off your order. All links will be down in the description. They released a monster to destroy Bitmain at pretty much the same hash rate, but it's a little more power, but it's coming in at the cheapest price whatsoever at only 85 cents per frickin' gigahash here, pretty much destroying every miner in terms of dollar value here. But again, this is still coming in at $12,900. So most of us as home miners, we don't have that, so we have to go for something cheaper. Even the Goldshell seems kind of expensive. So really, Ice River's the only option that we really have if you're really looking for a decently cheap entry-free miner for a decent efficiency as well. All right, so taking a look at the current network hash rate here of Alephium, we can see we're upwards of 11 petahash already. Not too long ago, we were only sitting at 8 petahash. I still remember it only a couple weeks ago being down to only like 1 to 2 petahash. So it's pretty insane. That hash rate is climbing. So let's jump in and take a look at the profitability currently. And here we have, I am writing this to its own address as well, so I can track it to ROI. If it does ROI next year, altcoin season, hopefully that does come into play here. But here we can see for the past 24 hours, we have been making its estimate around $6.55. Actual earnings is about $5.90. So if we go into our payments here, we can kind of track how those payments have been going. So September 10th here must be when I turned it on. September 11th, we made $8 a day. Looking at our yields, there's an update. 4.75 coins. Then it went down to only 4.05 coins, 3.81 coins, 3.65 coins, 3.55, and now we're currently working on 2.93. But we can see the chart here of those rewards are slowly dwindling down. The only thing that's going to save any miner, it doesn't matter what you get, is that price really needs to start pumping sometime next year when the full Bitcoin bull run happens and the altcoins for all these altcoins that we are mining really comes into play. Could we see $20 to $50 Alephium? That would actually make this thing making 100 plus a day right now if you're hodling. So really, we're crossing our fingers and praying that the Bitcoin bull run does spark a massive altcoin season, that Alephium will be one of those major coins to see massive gains. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. We checked it out on 240 volt, 120 volt. We checked some hash rates here. We saw its profitabilities. We looked at the network hash rate, all sorts of stuff that you pretty much needed to know about this miner, and if you decided to grab yourself one or not. Personally, I would prefer the Ice River miners. They are, more efficient, a little more expensive though. It is nice to see that Goldshell is actually dropping the prices per gigahash to a reasonable level, but they still need to figure out how to make their miners more efficient for long-term mining, because that's definitely going to become a major player when that network continues to grow higher, higher, and higher. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.